One other file that I need to bring in before I forget is the environment image, which I'm going to use for both reflection map and for the IBL map. So let me bring up my folder again. Okay, there it is, and I believe the one I'm using is nightenv.targa. Basically, it's the same file as the one mapped to the environment sphere. So I'm going to left drag that file from Windows Explorer over here into the work area. And I can minimize that. Okay, so let's go ahead and we have all the textures, and we need to now connect them into our clothes DX shader. So I'm going to just double click on clothes DX, and that'll bring up its attributes. And let's just start from the top. One thing you guys always want to watch out for is at the very top here, the technique tessellation off. This is probably what we want to keep it on for both this Leprechaun and also for the APC, because even though we could put a displacement map on it, it's going to cause things to be really slow, and I think a normal map with just some surface detail is enough. We don't need to actually have spikes or horns or anything else, protruding off the surface that would require a displacement map. And also, this is not, a few students have encountered this problem, and that is just be sure that this up here is pointing to the folder where Maya's installed, because I've had some students, because maybe Maya's installed on a different drive, that they had to switch this, and then when they brought their saved scenes back to school, then they forgot to switch it back. Or just be sure that there's something here, because there is a way in which if you're not careful, it could actually have this as being blank. In fact, if you start off with, say, a Blinn or a Fong, and then you switch it over to a DX11, then this might actually be blank. Most people will not have this problem, but again, just be sure something is here, specifically Autodesk Uber Shader.fxo is here, and also that it's pointing to the folder where Maya is installed. Okay, so just for those few of you who have had this problem, you might want to take a quick look here just to make sure everything is okay. And we can skip past most of this stuff over here. Actually, the first thing that we're going to be plugging a map into is emissive. For Blinn, it would be called incandescence, but for the DX11 shader, it is the emissive map. And the easiest way to tell is it's going to be mostly black, but just the areas that are going to be glowing, such as the eyes of the goblin, which are these guys up here, and also certain parts of that lantern. Those should be the only areas that are not black. So we're going to middle mouse drag the emissive map into the emissive slot, and I'm going to check on emissive map. So just make a habit of doing that. Every time you connect a map anywhere in the DX11 shader, just remember to check it on. It does not enable it automatically. Okay. And then moving down, we're going to see the where we can plug in our diffuse map. So that's this guy over here. So I'll middle mouse drag and drop diffuse map, and then enable it. Sometimes it's good to kind of see everything change in real time. So if you want to, now is actually a good time to assign this material to all the Leprechaun parts. So pretty much everything other than the floor, we're going to be assigning this closed DX to. So I'm going to select, I'm just going to go ahead and click there, hold down Shift, click through the metal, and it'll just Shift select all of these items. And then once you have them selected, then you can right click and hold over the Clothes DX material, and then 12 o'clock position, assign material to selection. It took a while for mine to update, so now that it has updated, I can deselect. So if you just click, I would just click anywhere in work area and hypershade, I'll deselect those parts, and then you'll see that obviously it still has a lot of other textures that need to be plugged in properly, but at least the ones that we have plugged in are starting to show up. And also just be absolutely sure that you're in mode 7. And also sometimes, every once in a while, you need to force your video card to refresh so that it draws things properly. So the way to force your video card refresh is to cycle through the rendering mode. So I would start with 5, which is untextured shaded mode, and then I would progress to mode 6, which is textured shaded mode, and then finally to mode 7, just pressing the 7 key on your keyboard, would be the lit textured shaded mode, which basically has everything that we're ultimately going to need. So be sure you're in mode 7 so that you can see the lighting and the textures in there. Okay, so let's go back and double click on Close DX, and let's go ahead and start setting up the other things. So next up we have IBL map. We may later on use an ambient occlusion or light map. We'll go ahead and do that at the end. So first let's go ahead and connect our night environment image into IBL 2D map. Always remember, just because of the type of projection, the type of layout of these images that we're getting from smartibl.com, that they're always going to be IBL 2D map. And also be sure the IBL type is 2D lat long, and enable IBL map. Okay, and just to check if it's working, turn up the IBL intensity. Turn it up and down, you'll see that that definitely is having an effect. However, by default, the IBL looks almost like a reflection, makes everything look really shiny, and that's not what we want from a diffuse light source such as what the IBL is meant to do. So what you should pretty much always do is in the IBL blur, set that to 10. In pretty much every single case, this is going to give you the proper result. So IBL blur is 10, and of course I probably had this going too high, just enough so that the unlit, all the surfaces that are not receiving direct light are being lit just enough. Again, this is nighttime, so we don't want this to be too bright on the unlit side, but we do want some light hitting it, so I'll probably put it there now. Let me use a nice round number such as 0.6 for now.